Hello my friends, welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to do a review that will make a lot of competitors scratch their head. The TR40S of Trak Racer. The TR40S is part of the new line of products introduced by Trak Racer at the ADAC SimExpo, with an accent on providing our community with affordable, simulated driving products by optimizing the designs of the current available hardware. Starting off with the configuration of the rig, it is, as you can expect from an extrusion profile rig, more than decent. The pedal base can be slid over a large portion of the frame and locked into place to accommodate for your leg length. It also features an inclination of around 15 degrees. The configuration, just like the rest of the configuration, is not on the fly, so setting it up for a different user will take some time and tools. The wheelbase holder is freely adjustable in height by adjusting the holder piece of the vertical extrusion beams. The tray itself can be adjusted in 3 different positions for inclination. I wouldn't have mind a possibility to incline it a bit more upwards for my style of driving, but I assume the level of inclination will be sufficient for most. Something that I can appreciate is the ability to slide the wheelbase holder for around 4 cm without having to completely reposition the vertical extrusion beams. It makes fine-tuning a lot easier. So for configuration, I am really happy that they included a bit of a larger beam that holds the wheelbase holder, so that for my Cammus C12 that I can put it at a reasonable height. So the beam here is 70 centimeters, which is quite high already. And I have to say that I put my daughter in the rig as well, and she also didn't have any issues with the configuration. She's 1.50 m, so it is suitable also for smaller people, this rig, as well as it is for taller people. Configuration, they did really well. So when we look at the build quality and the price, you might think that the build quality has to suffer from this decrease in price. But this is not the case. Trak Racer opted more for a redesign of certain things. One of the things that has changed between the TR40S and the TR80 Lite is the pedal base holder. The TR80 Lite used a full pedal base plate with some cutouts in it to attach the pedal bases to. Now this is a problem when you have some new pedals that are coming out and that they do not correspond with any of the attachment method doesn't correspond with any of the other pedal bases that have come out before. So you will have to drill new holes in it to make it fit. With the system that they use now on the TR40S, you have 2 plates that can slide over 2 beams and that have extrusions of a line of extrusions in them. This makes it much easier to make sure that your rig is future-proof, that you can use pedals from in a year on, that they will fit on this pedal plate holder. The new system is also very rigid. When looking at the footage, you can see that there is some flex noticeable when braking heavily, but can be considered minimal. While driving, I didn't really notice it at all. The flexing is caused by the pedal plates themselves that bend a bit under the pressure. Aside from adding a few millimeters to the thickness of the plates, I'm not sure on how to fix this. The question is, should this be fixed überhaupt? In comparison to the full plate of the TR80 Lite, I would say that the plate on that one was more rigid, which is logical since it weighed about a ton. But that the attachment methods of the TR80 Lite plate cause for some minimal flex. Both rigs perform similarly with the TR40S, just flexing a tad less, so this new design can be considered a successful one. What Trak Racer did to cut some costs is to replace the base profiles from a 4080 profile beam to 4040 profile beams. Now this means that the TR40S is actually a bit of a mix of 4040 and 4080 profiles. Now I would say that it still falls under the 4080 profiles, extrusion profile rigs, because it still has the beams for the wheelbase holder and for the pedal base holder, which are very fat 4080 profiles. Now, what is the impact of having the 4040 profiles as a base? I would say that it is less suitable than to use for a motion platform, because the 4040 beams are, well, in two parts actually. You have here one which is connected to the other one with some triangular connectors. So I would say that for a motion platform it will not be suitable, because it has really a weak point and here in the frame. This is not an issue if you're not using a motion platform, because, well, it rests on the floor, on the feet, so there is not a lot of stress which comes into this. Another thing would be that the beams for the wheelbase holder can only be connected in one extrusion slot instead of two extrusion slots. You would say that this makes the TR40S a bit weaker, but after doing some testing, I saw that it was not really the case. The design of the wheelbase holder has also changed compared to the TR80 Lite design. Instead of a very heavy wheelbase plate with the TR40S, Trak Racer opted for a mounting to the front side of the beam that connects the vertical extrusion profiles. I am more a fan of the design of the TR80 Lite, but I must say that the TR40S holds its own very well under the power of the C12. Just like with the TR80 Lite, there is some movement noticeable of both the plate holding the wheelbase and the vertical beams. Again, this movement is very minimal and comparable to the performance of the TR80 Lite. Because I did test the TR80 Lite with only 8 Nm and the TR40S under a stress of 12 Nm, I can't say exactly, but I think the flex on the TR40S is even slightly less, which means it is another effective cost cut of Trak Racer without any loss of performance. So when we look at the materials that they use, the connectors are really beefy. For example, they use pre-threaded holes to attach the bolts in. So the only thing that I can still say is the same that I said with the TR80 Lite is the anodizing of the metal. I really prefer a bit of a thick paint coat, which allows for less scratches. Here with the anodizing, if you lightly scratch it, you already see the metallish color coming through the anodizing, and that's a bit less. But in general, that is about the only remark for build quality that I can really say which bothers me. So when it comes to features, that is another thing that you would think if you drop the price of a package that it would have less features, but that is not the case, not at all even. You have the printed logo on the front plate and on the side plate. You have the fillers for the extrusion profile, the nice red accent colors, which I already adore that in the TR80 Lite. You have the cable binders, so the cable clips that you can put in your extrusion profile slots and that you can attach your cables to. Very nice. And also on the end caps, all the end caps, there is the Trak Racer logo also engraved in it. So very nice features. Another thing would be the shifter holder bar, which is included. The shifter holder plate is not included, but the shifter holder bar is there. And that one, there I have a remark. It should have been 5 centimeters longer. Personal preference, I would have just preferred it to be a bit longer to work with. A last thing to mention would be the feet that Trak Racer included. I would have expected some plastic caps, but they included rubber ones. I think it is very important to mention, as they were very good to keep the rig steady and dampen some of the oscillations that your rig is causing. It might seem a small detail, but again, it shows that Trak Racer really thought this rig and the feature through. It does make it a bit harder to move it though. When it comes to the ecosystem, very large ecosystem. It is an extrusion rig, so you can use n'importe quoi of add-ons and add it to your rig here. Only thing that I need to mention is that the T nuts that are used on the 4080 profile beams, they are a bit they are a bit bigger than the standard ones that I have from SimExpo or something. However, you get a lot of extra T nuts for the 4080 beams together with the package, so there's not really an issue there. The prices of the add-ons are okay. I wouldn't call them very good prices, but still it is okay. So for ecosystem, really thumbs up also for Trak Racer. The dimensions are not really that special. I have 125 centimeter in length, 66 centimeter in width, and I also have the beams, so the wheelbase holder beams, which are 70 centimeter. So that's really nice dimensions. But what is especially important here is that it comes in one box. So I see on Facebook when people receive things from Trak Racer, like 15 boxes filled with material. Here, one box, 104 centimeter by 55 by 14.5 centimeter. This is what they send to you. So one box and it has all in it. Really something good. It's very good for shipment, to bring the shipment price down. And it comes in at 25 kilograms. So it is also not the most light rig, but it is also not a very heavy rig either. So I saw that it is now priced at 299 euro. But it is reduced in price, and it normally would cost 309 euro. This is a 120 euro cheaper, 120 euro cheaper than the SimExpo GTR-S. Availability also for this sim rig is fantastic, because Trak Racer is a global player. They have Trak Racer Holland and they have Trak Racer Australia, but they also deliver to the US. So a very, very large logistic operation that they have at Trak Racer. I do have to say that there are a lot of complaints, especially from Trak Racer US, it seems, with boxes that are not delivered and stuff like that. But of course, this is how should I put it, this is normal. I do believe Trak Racer delivers a lot of sim rigs, so that there are a bit of complaints. It is normal, but it's just something that you notice when you go on the forum of Trak Racer, that there are some complaints about the delivery. Now, what I also have to say for the entire thing is, there is one person in the entire sim rig world of the company that there are, that I know the name of the founder, Madsten. I believe that anybody that has been on a forum, on one of the major forums on Facebook concerning sim racing, knows Madsten. And I said it to him also at ADAC, I really appreciate the fact that he is so present and that he actually listens to people and tries to help people out. I don't know a lot of bosses of other companies that do the same as he does. So a special shout out, and perhaps other companies could take an example from him. Just the fact that he is present there, that you can talk to him, and that he will try to help you out as good as he can. It really is a very positive thing for Trak Racer. As a conclusion, I have to say that I had certain expectations for the TR40S. Those who saw my reaction from ADAC, and those who saw my best rigs of 2025 know it. This is really a game changer. The TR40S for that price is a fantastic buy, and I would really recommend. I really would love to see the other companies counter offer for this type of rig, because it is really a good buy. The points of attention for this rig that I have are the anodizing, shifter holder, bar length, and tilting possibility of the wheelbase holder, but those are very small points of attention. What I would like to recommend, especially for those that value comfort, is to add some wheels under the rig to make it come a bit higher. I do think that the seating position is really low, and for those of us with some age, it does help with getting in and out of it. Another recommendation would be to have a seat with seat rails on it for its general comfort. A suggestion that I might have for Trak Racer is to add a color pack. I already appreciate that they add the red rubber strips, but it would be nice if they would step up on the color a bit more. add some color as standard in a package, and have, for example, connector pieces or decorative plates in other colors too as add-ons. That being said, I want to leave you with a final thought. Most of the times I really have a feeling that the prices that manufacturers ask for hardware is inflated, that if I add up the materials provided with the effort of designing and margin are simply not in balance. This is not the case with this TR40S. When you buy, build and use this, you will have zero regrets for the amount of hard-earned money you paid for this. I can guarantee this. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had something from this video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more videos. If you buy this hardware new, please buy via an affiliate link to help us content creators out. And I will see you all next video. Bye bye.